Hello, my name is Josh Hines, founder of New Normal Ministries, and today I want to talk to you about a session titled Quit Looking at the Waves. I want us to turn to Matthew 14:22, and it's the parable of when Jesus, well, not even so much a parable, but it was the time at which Jesus was walking on water and Peter saw him, and he asked the Lord, "Can I come out and walk with you if it's really you?" So I'm going to read this. Matthew 14:22. And straightway Jesus constrained his disciples to get into a ship and go before him unto the other side, while he sent the multitudes away. And when he had sent the multitudes away, he went up into the mountain apart to pray. And when the evening was come, he was there alone. But the ship was now in the midst of a sea, tossed with waves, for the wind was contrary. And in the fourth watch of the night, Jesus went unto them walking on the sea. And when the disciples saw him walking on the sea, they were troubled, saying, "It's a spirit," and they cried out for fear. But straightway Jesus spoke unto them, saying, "Be of good cheer, it is, I be not afraid." And Peter answered him and said, "Lord, if it be thou, bid me unto thee on the water." And he said, "Come." And when Peter was come down out of the ship, he walked on the water to go to Jesus. But when he saw the wind boisterous, he was afraid and began to sink. He cried, saying, "Lord, save me." And immediately Jesus stretched forth his hand and caught him and said unto him, "O thou of little faith, where dost this doubt?" And when they were come into the ship, the wind ceased. Then they were in the ship, came and worshipped him, saying, "O of truth thou art the Son of God." And when they were gone over they came to the land of Gennesaret. So what this passage shows to show you is that sometimes in life, we all want to be Peter. We all want to be the person to walk on water, to try something new, to go on an adventure, to discover something new. And as Jesus is calling us out onto the water, saying, "I'm walking on water and I'm asking you to join me in this adventure of doing something that most people aren't able to do." That we're like, at first, we're like, yes, this is going to be awesome. This is going to be great. I have the confirmations that I'm supposed to be walking on water. But then as soon as we get out of the boat, of our comfort zone, and we start walking on water, that's when the trials and the tests and everything starts coming against us. Our circumstances start to overwhelm us. The fact that we feel as though we're lacking money. We're a fear of failure. The fear that maybe people are going to judge me, or they're going to perceive me, or they're going to think I'm boasting in these abilities that I have. And that's why it's important to stay humble. As we start walking on water, it's important that we continue to keep our eyes on Jesus. That even though we are walking on water and we're doing something new and different, and that we're able to do this, it's only because we have our eyes set on him and not our circumstances. So often in life, we're called out onto the water and we're doing something new, and all of a sudden something happens that someone tries to pull us back down. It's like the quote with the crabs is, one crab's trying to climb out of the bucket, the other ones are pulling them right back down to the bucket, and none of them ever get out of the bucket. It's because people always want to be safe. They want to stay comfortable. They want to stay what we call normal. So often that when you do start walking on water, they're like, that is not safe. Like, you need to stop doing that. You need to come back and be with us because it's safe. And that you're like, but Jesus is calling me out on the water. So it's important that you keep your eyes on him so that he can direct you, he can guide you, he can keep you walking on that water. Because if you fall back into your circumstances where people are like, "That's scary, aren't you afraid?" and you fall back into that fear, you're going to be like Peter and you're going to start sinking in the water. Or if you start looking at your circumstances that I'm running out of money, the funding's not here, people aren't coming alongside me. That's the hardest thing about doing something new. It's so often it's just you and Christ. So often when you're going out and you're trying to pioneer a new way, a lot of times it's just you and Christ, and he is pulling you in a direction. And it's not until you start building some momentum and people are actually like, wow, he's doing it, that they'll start joining you, that they'll want to start joining your movement because they see that something is like that, what you're doing is fruitful. So often when you first start walking on water, it's going to be hard. There's going to be people that are pulling you back. There's going to be people that are saying that you can't do that. Why are you doing that? That's not possible. And then you have to realize in Scripture that all things are possible with Christ. So as you start walking on water and you hear the calling of Christ saying, "We're going to go a different way. We're going to go this way. We're going to do this. We're going to help this person," it's not going to make sense. Most times as I'm listening to Christ and I'm following him, most of the things I do, they don't make sense. There's absolutely hardly any logic behind what God does. He just does. He's just, I am. I just do. I just give. I just help. I just serve. Like that's all he does. Like he just gives. Like, and there's no logic to it. That's why so oftentimes when you're trying something new, you just have to rely on your instincts. You have to rely on that small voice that's telling you that it's possible. Just do this, and then do this, and then do this, taking one step at a time. And the next thing you know, you're walking across the ocean. You're walking with Christ, and there's something new. You're birthing a dream. You're birthing a vision. And it's just one step at a time, and keeping your eyes on him and not your circumstances and everything around you that's falling apart. That your foundation's built on the cornerstone of Christ. I'm recently reading this book by T.D. Jakes that's called Instincts. And so often at times when we're getting caught out of the boat, we don't want to leave the boat because we know the boat's safe. It's going to float in water. I mean, that's what it's made to do. It's mean for you to be able to be safe, and you're going to cruise around the ocean. That you're not have to worry about swimming. You're not going to have to worry about getting tired. You're just floating across. But so often times, if you're in the boat, you're not going to be able to discover anything new. As I'm reading this book by T.D. Jakes called Instincts, there is this paraphrase that he brings out when it's talking about the idea of leaning on your instincts instead of your intellect or your logic or what's normal, hence the name New Normal Ministries, that we're discovering this new normal. That as he's highlighting something that happens in his own backyard as he lives in Dallas, Texas, that he's like, this is what life's supposed to be like. That so many times this is what our lives are like, but we're fighting it. So he talked about eagles. So he's like, I'm convinced that so much more productive, satisfying, and innovative to having risk is a new endeavor and failed to play it safe and remain in the status quo. When a mother eagle senses instinctively that her eaglets are now ready to fly, she disrupts the nest with her beak, pushing them out with an eviction notice that seems so cruel. Her beak dislodges them from their nest and pushes them to the edge. Have you ever been pushed to the edge? I saw eagles in plain as I visited soaring in the wind. It was amazing to me to realize that what seems so natural now was once a moment of great terror. When it was young, that eagle was pushed to the edge. Its mother's beak had no doubt dropped him off the edge of a cliff, the result producing a striking beauty. But in the moment of crossing from the nest to nature, the sight would make you call the Animal Rights Commission and file a complaint of abuse. The mother obviously is not being cruel to her little birds. Instead, she is pushing them into the uncomfortable place of discovery. She knows that the nest was only the crossroads through which they would grow and develop. If they sat in the temporary, it would be at the expense of their permanent. Now I'm told the little birds become frightened half to death, initially flapping in their wings out of terror, flailing wildly to ward off what looks like inevitable death. But the flailing of their fear is what's birthing of a discovery. Their instinct to fly is released with great peril and fear. In the galing winds and impeding danger, they find that their wings they never utilized in the previous comfortable nest find use in the fall and give birth to their flight. To ensure that they will not come back to the nest, she stirs the nest with her beaks so that the pricky briars protrude and make it impossible for them to come back to their comfort zone that they once rested in. He goes on to say, I can't tell you how many times I've been forced to find my wings by the discomfort of staying where I was. I felt like an eaglet more than once, forced out many times by circumstances I couldn't control. I've streamed inwardly 1,000 reasons why the time wasn't right or I wasn't prepared. If you're like me, you tell yourself, but I don't have the experience or the training or the education or the relationships, the resources necessary to take such a dangerous leap. All of which may be true. But there are times when we must disregard the data and distance our doubts if we are ever going to achieve great velocity toward the goals that roar within us. We must follow our instincts to fly. So many times it's not going to seem like the right time, but today is the right time. Today is the day that you are able to walk out and discover something new about yourself, that you're able to learn how to fly and learn how to take your talents and your vision and your dream to the next level, to be able to say, I'm going to walk in faith instead of by sight. I challenge you today to quit looking at the waves. Quit looking at the circumstances that are holding you back. Quit looking at all the naysayers that say that's not possible. Quit looking at your doubts and instead walk in faith. Quit looking at the waves. My name is Josh. This is New Normal Ministries. Have a great day.